8th grade spirals, 1.5 D. Okay. Right, because today's Thursday. Okay. So number 1, true or false? Whole numbers are a subset of integers. And we'll start off by saying that this is true, and then we'll explain why. So when we look at the picture, we see that whole numbers exist entirely inside the circle of integers. Because if you consider whole numbers are just positive values, like we could say 4 is a whole number, but 4 is also an integer. So any number that is considered a whole number is also considered to be an integer. However, the opposite is not true. Like -4 is an integer that is not a whole number. Okay, so we say whole numbers are the subset of integers, but not the other way around. Hopefully that makes sense. Second one, these questions are just a pain. Triangle ABC similar to DEF, which one must be true? Since there's no numbers here, we sort of just have to, it's almost like guess and check. It's more like guess and test. That's the same thing. Okay. So if I say answer A, so it's saying DE over BC. So if I look at those two sides, they're not corresponding to each other, and they're not on the same triangle. So these are in no relation to each other, so that cannot make a proper proportion. So what we're looking for is we're just looking for corresponding sides that will make a proper proportion. So what if we say BC over AC? So BC, AC, okay, they're both on the same triangle, so this might work. And we're comparing the right side over the bottom side. So if this was to be correct, the other half of our proportion should be the right side over the bottom side of our second triangle. But it says it's EF over DE. So we can see how that does not correspond anymore. So this will not work. So we keep trying. So AB over DE. So this one, we have corresponding sides of different triangles, so that works. So the second half of our proportion should either compare the two right sides or the two bottom sides. So we have EF and BC. Okay. Now this is almost good because this is definitely comparing the two right sides. But if we look back, look at the way it's written. We have AB. If we look at the top half here, actually, let's make this a different color. No, let's make it a different color. There we go. So AB to EF. So that is the left side here, but that is the right side over here. So even though we have the right, like these 4 segments could make a proportion, but we don't have them lined up correctly. So this will actually not work. It's very close, but not quite. Everything's got to be lined up just right. Otherwise, the proportion will not work. Let's see. Our last one, hopefully this one works. We've run out of answer choices. So we have AC over AB. So we have left, or no, we have the bottom and the left-hand side. And then we have DF, which is the bottom, and DE, which is the left. Okay, if we compare, oh my God, this is killing me. Like you can see that the red is selected, but it's not writing in red. There it is. Okay, so AC is the bottom, DF is also the bottom. So this works any way we look at it. So this is our correct answer. So it's kind of a pain. The other way you could do this, since we know all the numbers, you could substitute each of our segments with the actual values. So like for D, AC is 7, AB is 10, and if this works, it should equal DF is 14, and DE is 20. So does 7 over 10 equal 14 over 20? Yes, it does. If that makes more sense to you, which it might because it's numbers, you can always do that. So you just substitute your side links into each of our segment names, and then check the proportion. All right, next couple ones are a lot quicker than that. Inequality shown, which of these makes the statement true? So 25%, we move the decimal back 2 places, that's 0.25. 2/5, if we divide that or put it into the calculator or know our fractions, that is 0.4 or 0.40. So we just need to find something between 0.25 and 0.40. So it can't be 2.6, that doesn't make any sense. 1/2 is 0.5, that doesn't work. 0.3 or 0.30. Well, 30 cents is definitely between 25 and 40 cents, so that looks pretty good. The other one it might be is the square root of 0.16. So we can check that one. And that gives us 0.4, which is close. But we want something between, not equal to. So it cannot be answer choice A, it's got to be D. All right, let's see. Number 4, which of these written in descending order? So descending means greatest to least. And if you notice, all of our values are negative. So if you consider a number line, we only want to look at the negative side of our number line. So we're going from greatest to least. So we just need to remember, for negatives, the more negative it is, the smaller the actual value. So if you wanted to think of it without the negatives, if we change all these to positive values, then we would order them from least to greatest, right? Because everything is opposite, we're dealing with negatives. So let's see, we've got 2 that start with 10, and then 2 that have a 12. So the greatest of these numbers, the one furthest to the right, is the smallest of our negatives, which would be -10. So it's either C or A. Then it would have to be 10.5, so that doesn't narrow it down at all. And then what is less, 12 or 12 and a little bit? That would be 12. So the only answer that's going to work is A. Okay. If that's confusing, I would definitely recommend making everything positive and then ordering them from least to greatest. Okay, this one might be new. So anytime you see this word dilate, you want to think of this mathematically as we want to multiply. Okay, that's the math we're always going to do. What it means when we say we dilate a shape, it means to make bigger or smaller. Okay. And then in this case, we want to make it smaller. And the rule here is to make it smaller, you're going to multiply by the scale factor, or SF, as you notice they put here, that is less than 1. So to make a shape smaller, you take all of your coordinates and you multiply them by some number less than 1. So really, when we look at our answer choices here, they're all going to start with XY changes to, that's what the arrow means. And then you're also going to have XY, and it should be multiplied by something. And if we want to make it smaller, we want that some number just to be less than 1. So the only one of our answer choices which is less than 1 is 0.3, and that's this answer here. Okay, and we're going to practice a couple more of those because I know that's all brand new stuff. Maybe. I don't know if you did that last year. That's okay. We'll figure it out. So number 6, which point on the number line best represents that location? Square root of 70.56. So we saw this one yesterday. We said easiest way to do this is to find the perfect squares. So what square root gives us 7? That's 49, because 7 times 7 is 49, so square root of 49 has to be 7. 8 times 8 is 64. And 9 times 9 is 81. Okay? So then we just want to know where on that number line would 70.56 be? Oh my goodness. So it's not less than 49, so it can't be M. It's not between 49 and 64, so it can't be A. It is between 64 and 81, and the only value we have between 64 and 81 is T. So our best answer has to be T. And if you say, Ellis, I just want to do that on the calculator, that's fine too. So if we do 70.56 square root, we get 8.4, and we see 8.4 between 8 and 9. Okay? But if you don't want to get your calculator out, that's how we can do it. Let's see, but we need our calculator anyway because then we get to number 7 and wants to know which is not between those two numbers. And since I don't know what the square root of 47 divided by 2 is off the top of my head, let's throw it in the calculator. So square root of 47 is 6.8 something. We divide that by 2. Oh my goodness. Okay, so about 3.4. And 2 pi is 6.28. So we want to know which of these is not between 3.4 and 6.28. So let's see, let's start with the easier ones. 5.83, that's definitely between. The square roots, I don't know off the top of my head. Pi is 3.14, so that would actually be over here. So that looks like a very good answer. Let's double check just, or actually, I said I don't know what the square root of 36 is. That's a lie. Square root of 36 is 6. So, all right. Square root of 15 should be just a little bit less than 4. 3.87. So 6 and 3.87 are definitely between those two. So the only answer that works is D. Okay. Number 8, which runner had the slowest time? So we talked about this yesterday. We said the fastest time was the one that was the least, which means the slowest time is the one that is the greatest. Okay. So I can ignore a couple of these because if we have different whole numbers, it cannot be anything that starts with 14 because 15 point anything will be greater than 14 point anything. So let's see, Leo, 1/5 is 15.2, and 1/4 is 0.25. That's a quarter. So if we call this 20, just so we can line them up, which one's more, 15.20 or 25? That is C, or Cynthia. All right, then we skip question number 9 for some reason. Go right to question 10. This one's another dilation question, so I'll bring my notes back up. So it means we're going to multiply. Let's see. So we have these two shapes. It said we started with circle 1, which is this more bigger circle, and we dilated it to make circle 2. So it's getting smaller. So it's the same rule as before. We're going to have to multiply by something less than 1. So if I look at my answer choices, ooh, okay. So this is a reduction. So I know I have to multiply by something less than 1, so it cannot be B. And D is just adding. And we said first thing, very first thing I said, dilate means multiply, which means answer D is not, it's not a dilation at all. Don't ever pick that one. So we have 1/5 and 1/2. So which one is it? So in this case, we need to pick a point. So if I say something simple, we've got this point at 0, 10. No, that's backwards. Sorry. 10, 0. And then on the new point is 5, 0. So mathematically, what can we multiply 10 by that will give us 5? Is it 1/5 or 1/2? And hopefully you're thinking to yourself, well, that's 1/2. And if you say, what about 0? It didn't change, so it doesn't matter what you multiply by, so that doesn't help us. Okay, so if you're looking at points and you want to know what to multiply by, make sure you pick a coordinate that is not 0. Okay, you could do that with any other point on the circle as long as you pick 2 corresponding points, because notice we picked, I guess we explained that. Since I picked this one on the far right-hand side, the point that corresponds to that also has to be on the right-hand side of our new circle. If I wanted to, I could have started at this point, and then that would have corresponded with this point down here. Okay? Like I said, we'll go over some more of those later, but that should get you through the spiral for today. Okay.